Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Work is Fun podcast, where I try my darndest to convince you that work can, should, and will be a little bit more fun if you put just an ounce of effort into it. This week's guest is Carse. He had a lot of good tips, a lot of good ideas, fun conversation for sure. The thing that really stood out to me was what I call digital enthusiasm, and it is hard to pull that off. It is hard to be authentic, enthusiastic, and excited when you meet somebody for the first time on the internet. Carse did that. So if you can just absorb that through his answers, I think you'll take away something really valuable here. I know that I did. I was convinced and kind of disappointed in my overall effort over the last years on the internet. But without further ado, introducing Carse LaFay. If you would just try to sum up kind of what you do for work, how do you describe it? What is it that you do?
We build dope websites for folks. That is what we get to do every day, and it excites me so much. I have been just in the web business since I've been in middle school. So I grew up in Snellville, went to Cruz Middle School, and one of my teachers there got me hooked on building sites. And I very specifically remember, I actually have a copy of the book over in my over there in one of my closets, and that was back when Harry Potter was all the rage. We go to these book fairs and whatnot, and all of my friends were buying the Harry Potter books, and this guy right here buys a how to code websites book from a book fair. And to this day, I know why that happened. I'm doing what I'm doing today is fantastic, but it boggles my mind that a fifth grader would be like, that's the thing I want to read. And so now we get to build amazing websites with an amazing crew of people, and we get to tell some pretty awesome stories for folks on their sites, and that's just amazing, simply put.
All right, well, let's measure that fun on a scale of 1 to 10. How much fun do you think you're having to work?
So I would have to say right now that the amount of fun that I'm having at work is honestly probably a 7.5, trending upwards though.
Oh, I like that addition. That's good. And so we'll talk about both sides, obviously, but what are you doing when you're having the most fun to work? When is it trending up at the most dramatic clip?
So it's probably trending at the most dramatic upward clip when our crew is working on highly creative projects where it's just not these one-offs and doing tasks. It is where we get to sit in a room with other really smart people who are really passionate about their business, their story, and they're excited to showcase it online. And those conversations that are had, though, sitting in the room and really diving in deep, that right there is the most fun. And so whenever I get to do that, or my team gets to do that, or we get to get, unlocking these moments of clarity when a lot of the day is chaos, right? I don't care what seat you sit in. You're a founder, you're an owner, you're a CMO, you're whatever it is. You're in the business all day, every day. It's chaotic. So we can provide, and with a website, you have all these different people speaking into it. You have different departments and different areas and all this jazz. So it's a combination of a lot of things and a lot of peoples and a lot of ideas. And when clarity comes through, that right there is the most fantastic thing.
Would you say that this room is is it typically remote, in person? Doesn't matter. Does that matter one way or another for your funometer?
Yeah. So I have been remote my entire life. I won't say I've never had an in-office job. That would not be truthful. but 95% of my life, never been forced to go into an office. But I will say, when you're talking about this creative process and whatnot, it's best when you're all sitting in a room together with a whiteboard, some sheets of paper, some note cards, and just going to town, all there together, just really diving in and seeing this happen with just like simple, tangible things, right? Like, you go online and you go digital, and this is going to sound silly, but a lot of color is added, right? You do these like whiteboarding sessions on like a digital whiteboard, and there's like color coding and lines and all this jazz. Where if you sit down at a physical whiteboard, obviously you have different colors of like dry erase markers and whatnot, but you, by removing some of that color and removing some of that, obviously, distractions with being on screens and things on those lines, you're able to focus. And you're able to kind of get out of the mindset of just like the day-to-day and the pings and the dings and whatever. And so being in that same room is just 100% the best way to go about doing it.
Yeah, I think the thing that I always think about is like the autonomy piece. Like, people like to be in person on their terms when they want to be and with the people they want. They probably don't like it as much when it's not where they want to be at the time they don't want to be with the people they don't want to be. So, I mean, I think we make it about remote or in person or hybrid or whatever, but really it's the same things. And I think the in-person ones are probably better when all of the things are good, and worse when all of the things are bad. I think so. So it's a higher stake game. What do you feel like is the thing that you maybe have to do or you find yourself doing that is just not fun or drains you or pushes you below your 7.5 rating, heading in the wrong direction?
So I'm actually going to take this one from the founder's perspective here. And when I'm not having fun at work is when you're a founder, and this does touch on other people's roles as well. It's not just specific to this, but you can see problems 60, 90, 120 days out, right? Like, you have the visibility in financials and projects and things along those lines to be able to have that vision a lot of times. When you see those problems happening all the way out there, there's this, and especially when they're bad problems, especially like really like detrimentally financial problems, right? And there's that moment that you realize that you think, oh crap, this is insurmountable. And you forget for a little while the community that you have, the people that are in your corner, the people that actually understand this particular problem and have solved it in some way, shape, form, or another. And so it's those moments of not knowing what's next, and that not just base level imposter syndrome, like, it's always out there, right? You have that like kind of like back of your mind sort of like imposter syndrome happening pretty much all the time, I know. But when it really, that comes to the forefront of your mind and it stays there for a while, that, especially in the seasons that I've been in recently, that has been the time where work has not been as fun. And that's just a part of life. And it will continue to be a part of life. Like, that's the seat that I sit in. I'm the founder, right? Like, I'm going to go through those types of things. And that's okay. That's okay. And so just knowing, being able to know it, see it, name it, and be like, yes, this is exactly what that is. That's okay. This will come. It'll go. All will be well and good at the end of the day.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's a balance, and you're always going to be, you can't have it one way all of the time as much as we want. And I think we don't want it that way, but that's probably the truth. What do you
Right.
think? I guess one of my goals is to encourage people to kind of get more intentional about thinking about their work being fun. And I think that mindset alone is pretty powerful. What do you think you could do if you were thinking about it more intentionally to have more fun at work?
In short, stay simple, stay nimble. Like, that is, that has been my mantra as of late. And it's honestly been kind of a back of my mind mantra for a really long time. And when you can simplify things, when you can make things easier, we can break it into smaller chunks. Or on the flip side, if you can be lean and you can have, when you're running a lean company and a lean structure, that team cohesion is a lot easier, right? The culture is right. Now I'm talking from a seat, probably speaking mostly from that like owners section. But when you can be lean and have a tight team that really cares about the end product of what you're doing, and you can see that passion. When you're small, that culture, that energy, that passion level is so much simpler to bottle up and be able to then, and I was gonna say put to good use. That's not really the phrase I'm looking for, but to be able to have an impact, right? And so I challenge folks, especially ones that are running their businesses, if it's not fun, my question is it too complicated? Does it feel like chaos? And if the answer is yes to that, how can you go back to staying simple and being nimble? And those are really like the two core takeaways for me of how running a business is fun.
It's awesome, Chris. Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it. For a lot of people, we pile so much stuff on, and more is better. And simplicity definitely is a noble goal and a hard one for all of us to achieve, because we naturally complicate things. I appreciate you sharing that. I'm going to wrap this baby up, but anything else you wanted to say before we hit the stop button?
I appreciate the time. And if for folks that are listening to this, the one thing to take away, stay simple, stay nimble.
There you go. Appreciate you. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Work is Fun podcast. Thank you, Chris, for being an amazing guest. And remember, if you're not having fun at work, you've got two options. Do something to make it a little bit more fun, or get yourself a popsicle cart. Until next time, have an awesome week. Adios.